Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Tefillah Awareness Shiur. My name is R Yehudah Schwartz, and it's an honor and privilege to give this shiur on a weekly basis, twice a week, actually, where we give this shiur on Yonei Tefillah, on the halachas of how to daven in shul, how to daven like a mensch, and how to ensure that we are doing the right thing in our voice Hashem. For this week, we're going to now step into the shoes of the Pesukei Zimmer now, in which we're going to discuss the halachas of Pesukei Zimmer. What the halachas are? If you want to hear translation of Pesukei Zimmer, I would suggest that the WhatsApp group Tefillah by Rabbi Shabbos is going through it now. But our role here will be, for now, is to just say the halachas of Pesukei Zimmer. We're going to do the first two sifim of Siman Yudalet today. Sif Aleph and Beis. So Siman Yudalet, Pesukei Zimmer. But before we do that, here's a little introduction, a very important one. The Gemara Brachas Daf Lamed Beis Amar Aleph. Well, today is Lei Ba'omer at the time of this recording. So the Gemara Brachas Daf Lamed Beis Amar Aleph teaches L'yolam Yisadeh Adam Shivchai Shal Kadosh Baruch Hu V'chakach Yispalo. A person should always articulate the praise of the Holy One, blessed is He, and after he should daven. We are to approach Hashem in the same way that a petitioner would approach an earthly king, by first offering words of praise and then making our requests. This is according to the Levush. Accordingly, the Chachamim instituted the recitation of various chapters of Tehillim of praise to Hashem before the Shemoneh Esrei, in which a person petitions Hashem for his needs. These parokim are referred to as Pesukei Zimmer, verses of praise. And the Torah and the Bach also mentions as well. Some sources associate the word Zimmer with Zomer, to prune, since the recitation of these parokim also serve to cut through any spiritual hindrances to the prayer and follows afterwards. With that in mind, we're going to start Sif Aleph Siman Yudalet. Min hoidu adach shiro hema Pesukei Zimmer. From hoidu until after the shiro of Az Yashir is considered Pesukei Zimmer. The pasuk we start with like this: Hoidu Hashem Kiru Shmoi, Hadi Evamei Leisav. Give thanks to Hashem, we declare His name. And until the shiur from Az Yashir B'nai Yisrael, as the shiur is Hashem. Yep. Alright, let's continue. Hey, Pesukei Zimmer. Now, this, what we just said now, follows the Nusach Ashkenaz. First, let's start with Mizmor Shir, Chelik Bas David. Then comes Baruch Shamar. Then comes Hoidu, in that order. But in Nusach Sfard, we start first with Hoidu L'Shem Kedev Shmoi, Mizmor Shir, Hashem Melech, and then Lamatzech, and then we get to Baruch Shamar. But truth is, it doesn't make a difference. We shouldn't be talking from beginning of davening from Pesukei Zimmer already. Either way. So let's continue. Baruch Shamar, he bracha shalefneim. The bracha of Baruch Shamar is the opening bracha recited prior to the Pesukei Zimmer. V'yishtabach, he bracha l'shachreim. And the Shtamach is a closing bracha of the saying after Pesukei Zimmer. Now, Baruch Shamar and Shtamach are not independent prayers, and neither one may be recited without the accompaniment of the other, or at least a part of Pesukei Zimmer. That means is that a person, when it comes to shul, right? If a person was a latecomer, we're going to discuss in detail later on in the future shiur about Pesukei Zimmer. What happens is, is that a person, when he gets, must say Baruch Shema, at least say Ashrei and Halukos and something like that, Yichavoid, etc. And then you can say Yishtabach afterwards. Why? Since they were instituted as blessings from the Pesikim and the end of Pesikim Zimra, it's especially important not to have any interruption between Baruch Shema and the beginning of Pesikim Zimra and between the end of Pesikim Zimra and Yishtabach, according to the Mishnah Berurah. Let's continue. Mishehischel Baruch Shamar. From the time one begins Baruch Shamar, whether it's if you're doing a Nisach Sfard or Nisach Ashkenaz, add Lach Gmad Tefillah until after completion of the davening of Shemoneh Esrei, which we're going to see very soon, Mitzvah Hashem, in Siman Chav Beis, which states, one may not speak of mundane matters between Shemoneh Esrei and Tachton prayer either, by the way. Also, it's forbidden to interrupt the davening with any mundane speech, even one word, according to the Mishnah Berurah, an introduction to Siman Samach Vav. Let's continue. However, then you have the mitzvah regarding to interruption for the purpose of fulfilling a mitzvah. There's a difference between those interruptions that are permitted while saying particular zimah and accompanying brachas, the kiddush shema b'chaseo, and the interruptions that are permitted while saying shema, and it's also in brachas over there. That means is the bracha by the Birchas Kishma and B'chaseh. That's what is it? Blessing v'yotzior following Baruch Hu until Ga'al Yisrael going to Shemoneh Esrei. Now, the following interruptions are permitted while saying Psukkah Zimah, and these laws pertain to interruptions while saying Shema, and the blessings are later on in Siman Tez Zayin. Mitzvah Hashem. We'll discuss that at a later date. Let's continue. Psukkah Zimah, do Psukkah Zimah, even in the middle of Baruch Shema in Yishtabach and the Yishtabach Baracha, but not in the middle of these words. Baruch Atah Hashem Melech B'Batash B'Chais, which is the end of a bracha right there. Anyway, if one hears any bracha, Amen. You're permitted to say Amen. However, one may not respond to another's recitation of the bracha Baruch Shamar and Yishtabach themselves while he is in the middle of Baruch Shamar. V'chein also, Im Shemei Shakol Omer Kishma, even if he is the tzibur is saying Shema, Omer Yamon Posek Shema Yisrael. He's allowed to stop in the middle and say Shema Yisrael. And it's also, some say also even the Medan Rabban should be said during this time as well. And Kolchken is certainly the Kaddish, the Kedusha Baruch Hu, to regard to more important responses of Kaddish, Kedusha, and Baruch Hu, except for the Amen, Yehi Shlema, Isa Shalom, B'Ramav, Eslam Kurayim in Kaddish. That you can't do. L'motor, Lo L'Hafzik, L'Anas, Emekol. It's permitted for him to interrupt the Psukkah Zimah prayers and respond with the Tzibor. For halachas governing other interruptions on to fulfill a mitzvah, such as one who is called to the Torah or one who must recite Shema before the Zman, that's a Mishnah Berurah, which we'll discuss at a later date. If we call Malkam Im Efshar Loi, nonetheless, if it's possible for him, to arrange his tefillah in a way that he will interrupt his recitation for these permitted responses, but become hefsek, the point where there's a break between the Zimah, could go on by mizmor and mizmor to each mizmor, like for example the halukas and so on. Also referred to as bein parakim. Not only complete parakim, but also any group of consecutive psukim are considered a break with regard to halacha. Now, oi as we just said. Now, the other part is Baruch Baruch Shemai. Now, when we say Baruch Baruch Shemai by a bracha, when a chazin's bracha says a bracha, and the Tzibur says Baruch Baruch Shemai, and we say Amen. Now we're going to discuss this now. Baruch Baruch Shemai. Blessed is He and blessed is His name. recite it upon hearing the name of Hashem in a blessing. Lo yamar tech pesukei zimah. One should not recite do pesukei zimah. Film can have sake, even with a point with a break. Even in this can be Gemara, since this part is not mentioned in the Gemara. The next also bless and praise, which we say by Psalm Tzibur when the Chazan sings the melody going to Baruch Hu. Lo Yamai, one should not say when it was a middle of Pesukei Zimah. This is only a minig. Likewise, if during Pesukei Zimah one needed a bathroom wash his hands, nearly the Lo Yoma Berchas Asher Yatzar. It seems to me they should not recite Asher Yatzar at that point. Since he can just as well recite it afterwards. Then Hefsek Kish V'Chasel Yivoy V'Shem Mesim Tazayin. The rest we'll discuss Mishram in a few weeks. One more Sif base. Now we're going to discuss Babach Shamar. Yerches states as a Shulfanov. One should take hold of the two tassels that are tight and upon the front corners of talis cotton. And say Babach Shamar while standing. And end with this. We're saying was lauded with praises. He should kiss his sisters and let go of them. And this is a very important line I'm going to say right now, by the way, before I continue. And this is a very big common denominator, which I have personally seen whenever I go to a minyan, which a chazan davens Pesukei Zimah swift and quick. The Shulchan Aruch says here in these following words that you're not supposed to do that, and here it is. For Yemek Kol Pesukei Zimah. Once you recite all of Pesukei Zimah, benachas of an imo. Again, benachas of an imo, with calm and a pleasant manner, like Baruch Sha'ama V'Hoya Olam Baruch Hu Baruch Am V'Eseh. Now, no. Someone who goes like that is definitely not going to be able to hear it whatsoever. For Loi B'Merutza, and not hurriedly. One should be scrupulous in a proper pronunciation of all the words. Recite in the living manner as if we were counting money. Imagine at the end of a day, the hard day of work. You're counting money, doing 1, 2, 3, or the pennies, 1, 2, 3, 4. You pay careful attention to counting money. So the Shulchan Aruch says literally that a person must daven Pesukei Zimah, but nachas v'nima, but not v'lo daven calm in a pleasant manner and not hurriedly. V'yichavim perish hamilas. While beside Pesukei Zimah, one should concentrate on the meaning of the words as best you can. Of course, that's why there's now this Tefillah shiur taking place right now, and hopefully we're going to be growing them down the road. To place all and more in the psukim and the Pesach Sedecho, you open your hands, and actually we say Pesach Sedecho. Something a lot of people take the time a little bit there. That's great if they could do that. In Ashrei. And what does it mean? Pesach Sedecho. You open your hands, and satisfy the desire of every living thing. Which one must recite with a great concentration. Now, the primary reason that the Chachamim enacted that this parak of Tehillim is recited was a verse of Pesach Sedecho, and this was for this reason. For this reason right here. That is why one must concentrate on the meaning of words. In addition, offer a silent prayer. For his own sustenance and for the sustenance of the entire Jewish nation. If one did not concentrate on the meaning of these words, even after complaining of his nation, he must go back and recite with concentration. If he was complete Shemoneh Esrei, then he definitely must repeat B'Seichas Necha and then continue until the end of the Halukah. If he realizes while he's still in the middle of Pesach Zimah, he did not concentrate on this pasuk, he should, if there's time, go back to B'Seichas Necha and go from there. According to Moshe Feinstein Zatzal, one remembers in the middle of Pesach Zimah, they only recite the pasuk B'Seichas Necha, and that's it. Let's finish off this part of the shiur today. And also an interesting part, which a lot of people remember, some people don't. There's these words in Hoidu, and I'll say right now, Kikol Akei Ramamalilim Vashem Shemayim Elsa. If you hear how the way I did it, this is how a person must daven every single day. Bein Elilim Bein Shemayim Elsa. In the recitation, the verse between the words Alidim and these words, or Vashem Shemayim Asa, tzach lahav success. One must plus slightly. Shlo yehei nira because alamala. So the word Vashem, and it does not appear as part of the previous phrase, which means that it gets given the impression that he's saying God forbid for all the gods and the people that learn nothing about Hashem, and that means that's someone serving idols. Chas v'shalom. So, fascinating thing, and the big lesson that we learned today is that a person must daven and not rush through it whatsoever. Let's finish off with a few words from Moshe Leibowitz. We're going to split this chapter in 2 weeks. We're going to actually do a little bit today and the rest next week. Mr. Hashem. Chapter 6. Why do bad things happen to good people? Interesting chapter to listen to. One may wonder why good people get sick and we must daven for them. Furthermore, many people struggle with understanding how someone can pass away after they've davened for them to be healed. And there are 3 questions to this. The Gemara in Brachas Daf Zayin Aleph says that Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem for 3 things, and according to one opinion, all 3 questions were answered. One of the 3 questions is why bad things happen to the righteous and the wicked are rewarded with good. The Gemara's final answer is that tzaddik, who is not a true tzaddik, has bad things happen to him, while a real tzaddik only has good. A wicked person who is not completely wicked gets good, and a truly wicked person is not rewarded with good. According to Rav Meir, 2 of Moshe Rabbeinu's questions were answered, yet this one was not. The question of why bad things happen to good people has been asked by philosophers for thousands of years. There are tzaddikim who die at a young age or experience extreme difficulties in life, while the wicked make a lot of money and live long lives. For discussion of this topic, it's also the others forum there that many people left the path of Torah because they were bothered by the fact that the righteous suffered while the wicked prospered. That's a question everyone asks. This chapter will discuss some of the commentators' opinions on this concept, although this question may be better than the answers. In addition, the fact that bad things happen to good people and vice versa is not the norm, but rather the exception. The norm is that if one is righteous and does mitzvahs, he is rewarded while the wicked is punished. Furthermore, one must realize that even if he has questions, he must live with the questions and know that they have answers that we are unaware of, especially in this world. We must take into account the Pasuk Yeshaya that states, "My thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways," said Hashem. Nothing's overlooked. The pasuk says Hashem will do a thing without telling the secrets to her servants, the Nevi'im. This is Amos. Today we do not have any Nevi'im, and we do not know the reasons underlying how Hashem runs the world. One should realize that Hashem gives reward for mitzvahs and vice versa, and nothing is overlooked. The Rambam says that a person who thinks that the world runs by itself and random is apikoros. If he thinks there is a God but he is not involved with us personally, he's also an apikoros. The Nevi'im also question why bad things happen to good people. As says the Yimri, why does the way of the wicked prosper? And the Chamakika says, why are you Hashem silent when a wicked man swallows up one more righteous than he? And Talmud says, behold, these are the wicked ever tranquil. They have attained great wealth. David Melech said, was it for nothing that I made my heart pure, washed my hands with cleanliness, and still am plagued all day long? And Eicha, it says, how can it be that the entire city is now like a widow? There are many such pasukim in Tanakh where you can and should ask questions. However, the reality is, like Moshe Rabbeinu said, the hidden things belongs to Hashem, our God. In other words, it's Hashem's business what things are done one with the other, but the revealed things are for us and our children. We'll do a little more and then we'll stop. We cannot know who is really considered tzaddik and who is wicked. What we see when we look at someone and just a snapshot of a person's life. Hashem sees everything a person does throughout his entire life and knows all of his challenges. We do not know how Hashem measures a person to consider him a tzaddik. We may see someone who we think is a tzaddik, but in reality, he is not. Obviously, we can assume that a big tzaddik is righteous, but we should not assume that everyone who seems like a tzaddik is one, since we don't know how Hashem measures righteousness. And with this, we're going to actually end over here, a little footnote by the way also. Some use this explanation to answer the question the Rambam addresses in his Rosh Hashanah. We know the Gemara Rosh Hashanah of Daf Tezayin on the base says that 3 books open Rosh Hashanah. And one who's a tzaddik is written down for life right away. However, during the year, many tzaddikim experience pain and die. In addition, the Gemara says that wicked are subject to death right away. But we know that's not true either. Some answer that one does not know who is really righteous and who is really wicked in regard to determining who gets life or death. Wow. We're going to actually stop over here for the day. And let's be zocher to have a wonderful day. Besudas tovos for everybody. And we should discuss from davening a bench and davening in shul properly. Have a wonderful day.